Hi everybody, good morning. It's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path, and it's time for another early morning book review. And so today we are going to be reviewing Sherlock Holmes and the Ghost of Bly. Now first off, let me tell you the truth that this was a novella really more than a book, because there were different stories in the book. There was The Case of a Boy's Honor, The Case of the Ghost of Bly, Sherlock Holmes and the Actor, and The Case of the Matinee Idol. I only read The Case of the Ghost of Bly because I was interested in it because of The Turn of the Screw, which I don't know if you remember from my last video. It was one of my all-time favorite ghost stories, is The Turn of the Screw. So what the author did on this one, who's the author? The author is Donald Thomas. Donald Thomas put Sherlock and John Watson into the situation of The Turn of the Screw. And I mean, he did an excellent job. He really did. He took all the elements of the story of The Turn of the Screw and he put these fictional characters, well, there were fictional characters in The Turn of the Screw anyway, but I mean, he added these fictional characters into it, and it was just done seamlessly and just done very, very well. Now, let me take a sip of coffee before I cough on you, which I probably will do anyway. Sorry, I had a little pound cake this morning. I won't lie, a little pound cake. Okay, so it was very good. It was written very well. It had all the elements of the original story, plus the added elements of how could the original story be made into a mystery that Sherlock Holmes could solve. So let me just sort of give you the layout. It starts out where Victoria Temple, and I'm not sure if that's her name in The Turn of the Screw. I need to look it up. I think she's an unnamed narrator in The Turn of the Screw, but don't quote me on that because I didn't reread The Turn of the Screw before I read this. Anyway, she is in prison for killing Miles, who is the little boy who was under her charge. And he was 10 years old, and apparently she smothered him by holding him too close, because the ghost of Quint was looking in the window at them, and she knew if he turned around, he would see the ghost of Quint and he would want to go with him. So she held on to him as hard as she could, and she done smothered him to death. And little Flora, who was the girl that she was taking care of, she died. According to this book, she died of diphtheria in the hospital after she was sent away. Now, in Turn of the Screw, she just gets sent away. We don't know what happens to her. We know that the governess kind of drives her wonky, but she just gets sent away. But how could this be possible? How could these apparitions and Victoria Temple, the governess who is on trial for murder, or actually has confessed to murder, who's going to be hung, how can we possibly save her? Because she truly believes she's seen these apparitions. And let me tell you, John Watson is having none of it. He doesn't believe anything. He thinks that she is an absolute nutcase. And why are we even wasting our time? She's a nutcase and she killed these kids, and oh, ghosts, and I don't want to hear it, and looking through windows and knocking on whatever. He's skeptical the whole way through, which I loved, because I always was of the impression, or maybe I read it, or maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, that John Watson is supposed to be us. That we are supposed to be the ones that Sherlock Holmes is explaining everything to through John Watson. But anyway, he does explain it. And it's plausible. And it's interesting. And you look at it and you're like, of course that's how they did it. Of course that's how they did it. And it has to do with, there's another child involved who's sort of being held captive, and everything, and there's an illicit love affair, and not between Miss Jessel and Quint, who are the two apparitions and everything. And then there's a reason that Miles had to die. Now, the weakest part, I thought, was Sherlock Holmes kind of came in with, Miles had diphtheria also, and he wasn't really smothered. He had come down that day, and that had been documented in her diaries, that he had come down from his bedroom that day with a cough and not feeling well and everything like that. So the one plot point on there that I would kind of go, like that on, is that he was dying anyway. Oh, he was dying anyway, so she just helped him along. But apparently that was enough to save her from the gallows, saved her from the gallows. So would I recommend it? Yes, I would. I would recommend any Donald Thomas Sherlock Holmes book, because he really has taken, look at a picture of him. See if you see a little picture of him there? He's really taken the time to study Conan Doyle and really get that Conan Doyle feel for the way he writes and the way Sherlock thinks and his interactions with, excuse me, the witnesses, and when to be tough and when not to be tough. And we have the Baker Street irregulars in there, the little kids, excuse me, that he sends around to do all the spying for him and everything like that. We have Lestat in there. Is it Lestat, or is that the vampire one? Lestat? I can't forget. One of them is the vampire in the vampire series, in the Anne Rice series, and the other one is the chief inspector that kind of doesn't get along with Sherlock Holmes. And I can't remember what his name is. I want to say it's Lestat, but I think that's the Anne Rice character. Well, anyway, it was great. I gave it a 4 stars. It was a great little novella. Didn't read the whole thing, but it took one of my favorite stories, and I was along for the ride. I was in, I'm so sorry, my voice today. I was in the whole time. I was there for it the whole time. So now I have decided that I want to go for a little camp. I want to go a little campy. So I'm going to be reading, I didn't bring my book in, but I'll find a picture. I'm going to be reading The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Dagger Affair. Ooh, and I started reading it last night, and I felt if I had had a little bit more in me, I probably could have finished it last night, because it is so campy and so fun and so action-packed. And that is going to be a great review when I get that one done too, if it holds together, because so far it's just absolutely freaking ridiculous. Anyway, I've got a lot of new subscribers, and I wanted to say thank you to all my new subscribers. I wanted to say thank you to all my old subscribers. I recently got a mention from Heather Reeds, and I just blew my mind. I was so excited about that. So thank you, Heather. And I guess that's all I have to say, and I will check you later.